Welcome to this new how-to. In this how-to we're going to look at how you can program a flight in the PMDG 737-700. We're going to discuss two methods. Both of them are using SimBrief because we need to generate a flight plan using, I would say, an online flight planner, and SimBrief is one of my, I would say, preferred tools. And then we're going to load that flight plan into the flight simulator. And that, I would say, there are the two methods, right? One of them is by using a kind of a saved file, which is an export of the flight plan. And the other way is, of course, doing it manually. And doing it manually is, I would say, probably much harder, but also, I would say, much more realistic. So what I've done is I pre-programmed the flight info. So we're departing from Luton, we're flying to Barcelona. I've selected the aircraft type Boeing 737-700. Take into account that if you're flying in the BBG, you might want to select one of the other profiles, which is listed here. But for now, the 700 is okay. Then we've got a lot of optional data which we can provide, including the departing runway, how much extra fuel you want to take, if you're having passengers, freight, etc. So you can define it depending on what you plan to take with you on the aircraft. Based on that, SimBrief will generate a flight plan, and this flight plan will look like this. You can see multiple options here, so let me first describe them. So what you see here is, this is the standard terminal, or sorry, the standard instrumental departure route. That's CPT-7C. That will bring us eventually to waypoint CPT. Then we will go into an airway called UN859, which will bring us to Solpil. And then we see DCT, and DCT stands for direct. So there's no airway, but we're flying direct to Balan, followed by Ivbok, Narak, Gai, Lomra, Rokan, and then we've got Pumal as the last one, and then we're gonna use an airway again. On the right side, you can see other options which you're free to use, right? It really depends on which you prefer, but in this case, we're gonna use the recommended route, and it says, okay, hey, it's valid for AirAC 2204, so make sure that that's the case. If we scroll a little bit further, we can see that there's the flight plan, which is correctly shown here, and including the alternate flight plan, right? Because LFBO, that's Blagnac, that's the alternate flight plan in this case. And that's also automatically being figured out by SimBrief. So once you're happy, you press Save Flight and then click on Generate Flight. It will override the previous flight plan, so take that into account. And once that's done, you have the option to download the FMS. Now, the cool thing is that SimBrief has, let's say a while ago, launched a tool which allows you to easier download the flight plans, but also put them in the correct folders. So if you want to use this tool, you can simply press download and then use that tool. And that's also the way I'm going to show you. If you don't want to use this tool, you need to download the plans manually, and then you need to use the PMDG flight plan and the PMDG wind uplink. This one is the most important for the flight plan, so that's where we're going to focus on today. So simply press download, it will download it, and you need to move it to the correct folder, and that's what I'm going to show you where that is, because that's the next thing. So in SimBrief Downloader, which is the tool, you will have the same entries, and there you will see the download directories, and that's where it will put the flight plan in. So in this case, you will see that it's a very long path. So let me show you where it's located. So if you go to the folder, zoom in a bit. I said zoom in. You will find the local state folder in your flight simulator directory. And there you will find the packages. And inside there you will find the PMDG aircraft 737. Inside that folder you will find the work folder. And the work folder is the folder where we need to store the things. You can see the flight plans and the WX here. So if you select flight plans, that's where you can place flight plans. And as you can already see, I already placed the flight plan there. The other item is the weather one. Let me go one level back. And that's where you place the weather data. The weather data is optional, but it's, let's say, recommended to load it. We're going to focus on the flight plan only today, so not on the weather. So don't forget to push those directories or set those directories correctly. If you generated a new flight plan, it will be listed here, right? If it's not, then you press the reload option, which will show you the latest, and then you can simply say export selected formats, which will put the folders in the respective folders. Did I say folders in folders? I meant files in the correct folders. So once you've done that, you can go to Flight Simulator. So before we're gonna jump into the FMC, there's an option where you need to be aware of, because if you press the FMC option, you will see that the position in it doesn't allow you to define the current position. In that case, you need to make sure that the irises are aligned. And where do you find those? Well, we need to go to the top, and there you will find these options, and you can set them to align. And that will, I would say, start the alignment process. In some cases you need to refresh it by going back and forward, and you will see them popping up. We're going to set the original position, that's good. And then we're going to go to the route option. Since we already saved the files, it's so much easier, because then we can use the flight plan option. And in this case, you will see the flight plan, origin and destination, also the distance. You press the select option. You will see that this will show requests currently. Leave it think, because it will do some stuff. It will check some things, and you can see that it populated our origin and our destination already. Once that's done, you sometimes need to wait a while, because it says route uplink ready. If it doesn't show this message, you can't load the flight plan, because if you would now go to route, you won't see anything, because you need to press this button first before the plan is really being loaded into Flight Simulator. In that case, it will show route uplink loading, and once that is completed, you will have the route if you press activate. So we're going to press activate. After that, you will see that the execute button will be illuminated, and you can press execute. Now if we go to the route by using the next pages, we can see that our flight plan has been programmed correctly. And you can go to the next pages, and you can see that some of them are, I would say, removed from the flight plan. Like, remember that star route which we had at the end, that's not imported, as you can see. The only thing which you need to do is defining the departure and arrival routes. If you prefer to do that, you need to use this button. So we're gonna select it for now, then select departure, select the correct runway, which was runway 07, and then select CPT 7C, because that was the one which was listed in our document. And once we've done that, we press route. It will say, hey, I'm gonna modify the plan. Well, that's fine for us, right? It has now modified the flight plan. So we need to press execute, then it will change to active. And if we would now go back, you will see that this one, instead of direct, it now shows CPT 7C. The same thing can be done for the arrival route. So we're gonna go here, and then we're gonna move down. So you can see that for Barcelona, it's a pretty long list, right? So if you don't prefer to, let's say, go to the full list, you have another option, and that simply is by, let's say, either, let me show you, selecting one of the approaches, or in some case you also have the ability to select a runway. In this case, we don't have the option. So what we're going to do is, we have the runways here, luckily. So they're below the approaches. So we know that it was runway 24R from Romeo, and then based on that, it will filter out the available approach routes. And then we're gonna select Puma 1 Whiskey. Then again, we need to press route to add it. You will see it's modified. Press execute, and then we're done. If we now go to the end of the flight plan, we can see route discontinuity 24R, and prior to that we had the Puma 1 Whiskey to CLE, so that's the standard terminal approach route which we selected. Now this was the automatic mode, so let me show you how you can do it manually. So I'm gonna hit home restart because that will bring the flight simulator in the state where we were at the beginning of this video, and then we will start to add all the stuff into the FMC. So we go to FMC, position in it. We just did it, so I'm gonna skip it for now. So first we need to program the departing and arrival. So EGWW, and then we had, well, need to check it. So what I would say the recommended way is leaving SimBrief open, and you can do that either on a different screen or switching by using the Alt and the Tab key, right? Depending on what you want to do. So LEBL, that was the next one, that's the destination. So once you've done that, instead of pressing the flight plan request option, you go to the next page, which will bring you to this page. On this page, we can define the route which we want to use. So what we are going to do is we're going to go back to SimBrief, and let me also do that so you can see which section you need to pay attention to. So here we are. So this is the routing option, right? So this is the information which is there. So you can either use this option, or if you generated the flight plan, right? So if you go to the, for example, the print and view PDF, if you have this one, you can also see it, because if you scroll down, you will find the route, and that's listed here, right? So this is the route ID, and will show you exactly which you need to configure. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to say we want to fly via airway CPT-7C to CPT. So let me show you how you can add that to Flight Simulator. So remember, it was Charlie Papa Tango, and then I need to look again, 7 Charlie, then press the via option. If it shows like this, then it might be that you made a typo, but in some cases some of the SIDs are also not listed well. So I will show you a workaround, but to do that we first need to program the flight, or program the I would say destination, which was CPT, and then set it like here. So in this case, you can see that it has been set to direct. So we're gonna press activate. Normally you program the complete flight and they do that, but I simply want to show you how we're gonna resolve this issue. So we're gonna do it by simply using, or not abusing, but using the departures option, because that one contains the SID. And if you add it like this, and then hit execute, normally it will add it here. Fortunately it doesn't do it for some reason. So we're gonna press CPT 7, runway 7. That's what I forgot. I forgot to select the correct runway. Then hit execute. Then go to the route, and now you can see it has been added, right? So now you have the standard instrumental departure route and the let's say last waypoint of that route added. So the next one was a UN 859, and you will see that it recognized this one. As soon as you change something, this will again change to mod, which means it's being modified. If that's the case, no worries, because you will fix it after hitting the execute button. So the waypoint was Solpil. So that's now also being added. And a nice thing that it shows you which things you have modified, right? That's cool. So going back now to the flight plan itself, you can see that we already added these two into the flight plan, and then you will see DCT. DCT stands for direct, which means that we need to push in these beacons directly, or waypoints, without selecting the airway. So let's start with Balan. And we're gonna press the option here. In some cases you will see this happening, which means that it will has found the beacon twice. In that case, it would say checking which one is the correct. Unfortunately, there's no, let's say, distance shown to the beacon. In most cases, it's the upper one, but on the other end, it's not always the upper one. So I'm simply gonna guess here. And what you will see in this scenario is that will show you direct instead of the run or airway, which we're gonna use. So the next one was EVP. Okay, do the same thing here. Narak. And now you see the page is full, but luckily it automatically creates a new page. So you press the next page and then you can continue. So we're gonna add Golf Alpha India. Press add. You will see the same thing happening here. So again, we're gonna guess, but I do think that it's the upper one. So we're gonna select it. Then hit add Lomra. Also direct Rokan. And then we had Pumal. Also direct, and then we're gonna press execute. Now it has changed to the active flight plan, so it has done everything correctly. The only thing we need to do is set the arrival because it hasn't been configured. To do that, we're going to go to the departure and arrival, hit arrival, and then find the runway which we're going to use. So hit next, next, next. It was 24R, and then hit next again because we need to find the flight plan. So instead of going, I would say, from 1 to 3, you can also go to the previous page because it will bring you much faster. So that's also a trick. Once we've done that, you can see that automatically has selected the runway to which it belongs to. Then hit route, hit execute again, and then everybody's happy because now you programmed the flight plan. If you go to progress button, you will see that it will show you multiple things, right? It will show you the direction, the fuel quantity, which is currently in the aircraft. You can see the navigation status, the wind. You can go to it if you want. RTA, everything is done. However, there's one thing which we didn't do yet. And for those who paid attention, one of these things is setting up the alternate destination, because if for some reason Barcelona airport is closed, we need to, I would say, land, right? Because at one point the fuel in the aircraft will be, I would say, empty, and then, well, a lot of things can happen which we probably don't want to. So we're going to go back to the flight plan. And if we go to the top of the flight plan, you will see the departing and arrival, but you also see the alternate one, which is listed here, which was LFBO. So we're going to go back to Flight Simulator, hit alternate destinations, and then say LFBO. Hit alternate, and then you're done, right? So it simply says, okay, hey, this is the alternate airport. So fine for us. In some cases, you can press the execute button. If you're in the air and you want to find the nearest airport, you can always use this one. But in this case, right, we don't want to do it. Alternate destinations, you can see it here. So nice. If this light is not burning, you don't need to press the execute button, but just for safety, I just pressed it, and now we can see that the plan has been defined. We can go to it completely. And everything is ready, so ready for takeoff. So here ends this video. In this video we looked at two methods to program a flight into the PMDG 737-700. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you've got questions or comments, then feel free to post them in the comment box below. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.